Hello and welcome to round 8 of Grand Prix Denver. I'm Ben Swartz, joined here in the booth by Marshall Sutcliffe.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got Patrick Sullivan on the left-hand side of your screen facing off against Josh Ravitz on the right-hand side of your screen. And play is already underway with Patrick Sullivan cracking a scalding turn to go get an Arabian Nights Mountain.
Oh, I love those Arabian Nights Mountains. I own one.
Patrick, a connoisseur of red decks, is playing his trademark burn deck here at this Grand Prix. And is he going to cast a Lava Spike or something on turn 1? Grim Lavamancer starts things off for him.
He's going to pass the turn back to Josh, who I believe is on bug.
We'll get a confirmation when he picks up his hand. I saw Tarmogoyf in the forest.
I did too, and there's also a wooded foothills there.
Maybe he's on the Jund deck that Reed Duke is playing.
There could be, because the foothills usually you wouldn't run.
In the bug deck.
In the bug deck, you've got all the fetches you need for that.
So turn 1, Deathrite Shaman for Josh.
Jeez, is that a... what are those lands called? So sweet. Anyway,
There's a Guru land.
A Guru land, man. Those things are gorgeous.
Man, a second fetch land for Patrick Sullivan is going to turn on his Grim Lavamancer to take out that Deathrite Shaman if he so chooses.
And it's also going to mean that the Deathrite Shaman isn't going to get the ability to make mana.
Right.
So really good, or at least not from Patrick's.
And I think Patrick has a
graveyard.
Rift Bolt he's going to suspend here.
Suspend.
Yep.
All right, so things looking good for Patrick Sullivan out of the gates, although Josh is still at 20.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about playing against Patrick Sullivan is that basically people just assume that this is what he's playing.
He's
I'm not
played
saying,
other decks
I'm not saying he
over
can't
the
play
years,
anything
but
else, but I think that, like, if you're going to sit down across from him in your first round of a GP, you just should assume that that's what he's playing,
in
unless he shows you difference. In Legacy, right.
Maybe Standard before.
Like if it's good.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Josh here cracks a Wooded Foothills. That drops him down to 19. So that's 1 point of damage. That's already happened. And Bayou gets fetched up.
See, Josh is also a connoisseur of awesomeness, as he has a black bordered Bayou here.
Yeah.
Both of these guys.
For sure. And turn 2 Tarmogoyf for Josh Ravitz. Now that's a 2-3.
Currently, it can become a 0-0 very quickly, though. The Rift Bolt is the ability is going to go on the stack.
Right. If Patrick Sullivan can't Rift Bolt the Tarmogoyf, because by the time 3 damage is put on the Tarmogoyf, there's a sorcery in the graveyard. So Tarmogoyf's toughness will raise to 4, so it won't actually kill it. But it's very likely, Rift Bolt's going to go upstairs, straight to Josh's face. And Flame Rift drawn for Patrick Sullivan. So he can...
I also see he has a Price of Progress in his hand. He's just going to Flame Rift here.
So Patrick drops to 14, Josh drops to 12. Suspend Rift Bolt, maybe? Does he have... I think he's got a Rift Bolt.
He's got a Price of Progress.
Okay, yeah, he's got Price of Progress, Fire Blast, and Rift Bolt. So he can end of turn use Grim Lavamancer's ability, drop Josh down to 10.
14,
Then untap. If he draws a land, regardless of whether we'll see what he does. But he can cast Price of Progress if Josh gets another non-basic, which he does.
This time it's a Badlands.
Drop him down to 6. Cast Fire Blast and suspend Rift Bolt. So that seems like it could be the game. Let's see if Josh has something to say about it. He's got Liliana, so that's going to throw a wrench into Patrick's plans.
I'm going to respond.
Yeah, he's actually going to make Liliana. He's going to make Patrick sacrifice his Grim Lavamancer.
Okay.
So that's actually probably the best case scenario for Patrick, as he's got a grip full of awesome stuff right now.
Tarmogoyf going to get in for 2.
Yeah, lands and a creature.
Josh down to 9, though.
And it's a Lightning Bolt as well.
So 2 force. I think that's game, right?
Yes.
Price of Progress. Drop Josh down to 5. Lightning Bolt. Fire Blast.
Yep.
That's game.
That's going to do it. Just like that, Patrick Sullivan picks up game 1 against Josh Ravitz.
Upstairs. Straight to the face.
And right to the dome. And you see Josh Ravitz immediately taking out some stuff. There's certainly some stuff that he's not going to want in his deck anymore.
You guys are going to game 2? No. What's that? No.
Looks like the other match, Josh Layton versus James Gates, is still shuffling up, but we're going to get a quick peek as those players are mulling over their hand decisions. And yep, play has started. Not sure who leads here, but Josh Layton on the play. He's going to cast a turn 1 Green Sun Zenith for 0, getting a Dryad Arbor. James Gates on Hypergenesis, Josh Layton on the Elves deck we've seen out of the Luis Scott Vargas, Matt Nass, Brain Trust.
Now, we haven't seen Hypergenesis on camera yet this weekend. Why don't you talk us through how it wins?
So you play a Cascade spell like Shardless Agent or Ardent Pleat, and you Cascade. And the only card that costs less than 3 in the deck is Hypergenesis. Hypergenesis says, starting with you, you can put a land, creature, enchantment, or artifact onto the battlefield, and then go around the table clockwise, and everybody continues to do that until all players pass. So you've got great cards in your hand. You've got cards like Bristlebrand, Progenitus, Angel of Despair, Omniscience, and you just load up your hand with those spells and just throw them down on the table, and your opponent likely can't deal with them.
Because you're just going to overpower them.
Yeah. If you don't happen to get a Cascade spell that gets into Hypergenesis, you've got Show and Tell to play one of your big fatties. Show and Tell Omniscience into Emrakul is a good play too.
Okay.
So turn 1 Woodlot Thicket for James Gates. That's an old land that comes to play tap. You can tap it and produce 2 green mana. Josh Layton seems to be doing a play here. He's got Elvish Visionary. It's going to draw him a card, cracking a fetch, go getting a Bayou for Quirion Ranger.
Correct. And it looks like James is going to take a minute to read Quirion Ranger just to make sure that he knows
on camera right now?
exactly what that does.
I know that James has already...
Josh is not done yet, though.
Yeah, he's going to return a forest to his hand and play Findhorn.
What are those 2 counters?
On Hickory Woodlock, there's 2 depletion counters. You can only use it twice before for double mana before it sacrifices itself.
Okay.
So he's going to play Windswept Heath and crack it, presumably to be able to cast Shardless Agent.
1918? Yeah. I am up. Yes, I won the first game.
All right, so we're going to see him go off right now,
if he's got a Show and Tell or a Shardless Agent or a Cascade spell.
Now, he needs some amount of fatties in hand as well, right, to make that a viable plan. So he's got to have all those pieces, but he's got Show and Tell. So that's a good start against, generally speaking, against Josh's deck. I mean, Josh can have a couple of fatties, but it's usually just 1 in the deck, maybe 2.
So James.
It's just going to be a land and a Grizzlebrand for James Gates. Now that that's resolved, does he just draw 7 here and do more stuff, or how does this usually go?
He doesn't really have very many things to go off again. Right? He can't play Lotus Petal because that costs 0 mana. That gets in the way of Hypergenesis Cascade.
Yeah.
So it's likely he's going to stay here with Grizzlebrand. If anything happens, draw 7 to be able to draw maybe a Force of Will. And then untap and cast another spell with all of those cards in hand.
He's at a very healthy 19 life here, and of course Grizzlebrand is an amazing blocker as well, right? It's not like he can be attacked to the current board state, and we know that a Grizzlebrand this quick in the game means that for Josh Layton, he's going to have to pile on tons of damage in order to get through it if he wanted to go off this turn. The thing is, his deck actually can do it.
Yeah, he could get a bunch of creatures and Crayerhoof Behemoth.
Yeah, that can actually just power right through.
But he needs to like combo off this turn.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
And there's no disruptive elements in Josh's deck.
No, he will not. He will not be killing Grizzlebrand. So you gotta think that James is in a pretty favorable spot here, but it's not like Josh is out of this game either.
No. But the fact that Josh didn't put anything into play using that Show and Tell is a little telling that he didn't have something.
At least at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it would need, what would have to happen is something like Glimpse of Nature into like 2 creatures and get a chain going or something. But.
So, Force Will drawn for James. He's going to use Grizzlebrand's ability, go down to 12 life, draw 7 cards.
Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Drawing 7. Whoop. He wanted to go for 8 there.
So looking through his newly minted hand.
The only card I could really see was the Force of Will.
I saw he drew another Grizzlebrand.
It looks like he's just going for it again here.
That's really creepy.
Drawing 14 cards this turn.
Just
Drops him down to 5.
I've been surprised by.
So he's looking for something specific.
What did you do?
Or just to load up his hand with fatties so that when he cascades into Hypergenesis, he can just dump his hand.
I saw he's got an Emrakul and, like you said, another Grizzlebrand.
If he somehow drew an Omniscience, that would be the game right here. He could Show and Tell Omniscience, play Emrakul, get an extra turn.
Yep.
And attack in.
Looks like he's going to attack first.
Draw 7 more. Wow, he's going the full mile. He's really digging for that omniscience.
James Gates has drawn 21 cards this turn plus his draw step.
I think he found it because he started increasing his speed. Maybe not.
One that doesn't die at the end of the turn? Yeah.
Is he just looking for any Cascade spell here?
I saw he had a
Look
Cascade.
at his hand. He can barely hold that many cards. That's insane.
Maybe
He
he's just trying to
shuffles
show
them.
off.
Not in
I
this
mean,
iteration today.
I'm impressed. That's a lot of
Well,
cards.
before the event.
He's drawn 22 cards this turn.
So
Although
he's
more than I thought,
gonna
apparently.
finish off his Hickory Woodlock
Pretty good to bring it in.
and cast Shardless Agent.
Shardless Agent it is. He
I
says
mean,
sure.
you kind of has to name
All right, so
series
now we're going
names,
to start
right?
revealing a whole bunch of cards. There's an Omniscience, by the way. I don't know how many he runs in the deck, but we know that one of them's in
I have
there.
series names. I have some in there. What? You brought that in for game two?
Progenitus,
I had
Angel
them
of
made.
Despair.
Yeah.
There's
Emrakul.
another Emrakul. That's so these are all going to get shuffled back in.
He's looking
These are
for
exiled
Hypergenesis.
anyways.
Cut it right exactly where.
These will get all shuffled back in.
Yeah.
You're getting back up right.
Do they get shuffled or they get?
They get shuffled to the bottom.
Yeah, they get shuffled and put on the bottom.
Looking for that Hypergenesis.
There's an Ardent Plea.
Spinning the wheel.
Another Angel of Despair.
It's going quite deep. There we go, Hypergenesis. So starting with James.
So he says you may not only look at these, but you also have to randomize them.
Yeah, so let's see what James puts into play, and we can swap back over to the next match.
Yeah,
But he's-
James basically has this one locked up, I think.
He's going to put a bunch of lands into play.
Yeah, I mean, right now Josh is just taking the time to look at his whole graveyard. So,
So we'll go back to Patrick Sullivan versus Josh Ravitz.
all right, so Ravitz is on a mold of 5 here. He's down a game against Patrick Sullivan, one of the best, if not the best, mono-red players in the history of the game.
Patrick started things off with Chain Lightning on his turn 1. That can Thoughtseize or Duress away? No. He got cast. Josh is not at 19. So that's Guerrilla Tactics. The card that if it gets discarded by an opponent's spell or ability deals 4.
Look at him, he's reading it right now.
So
not,
Patrick threw that to the front just in case he wanted to Duress that away.
I'm not going to pick that one.
I mean,
But not
there's a lot of damage in it.
A really great hand for Patrick.
Patrick's certainly one land away from making this thing really go. He's got a Syrian Blaze there, which is kind of awkward. He needs a target. He needs a creature.
I see what happened. He Chain Lightning the Deathrite Shaman that Josh played on turn.
Oh, it's a Deathrite Shaman.
The
Okay.
Emperor
Yeah.
has no clothes.
Flame Rift, Price of Progress, a Fire Blast, and the Guerrilla Tactics, which is going to be good to know.
Yeah.
So Josh mulling over which one of these instants and sorceries he wants to take with Duress. These non-creature spells.
Legacy rebound pairings are going up.
We see Patrick Sullivan picking up the Guerrilla Tactics like this is probably the right one.
Searing Blaze.
Oh, he does take Searing Blaze, so it looks like Josh is going to follow up with a creature here.
No, just passes the turn back.
Okay,
Does
but
Pat
he
draw
wants
land?
to keep one.
He does.
He
Wow.
do right off the top. He draws a Scalding Tarn. He's going to crack it for a mountain.
Oh, I just want. I have triggers.
Okay. Yes.
One of the big advantages about
I'm gonna destroy.
Patrick's deck is that it just plays basic mountains. He doesn't have to worry about getting wastelanded. It just completely takes that element of the metagame out for him, and he says Flame Rift.
Yep, 4 to both of us. We'll both go to 15.
Does look like Jund there
Wanna be
for
done
Josh
after.
Ravitz. Some beautiful dual lands, but right now he's got big problems. He's going to need to start committing things to the board, and cards like Liliana of the Veil aren't going to do it.
Yeah. So it looks like him to Torok
Okay,
for Josh Ravitz.
that's a really good start, right? I mean, that's just straight up taking, and he knows that it's 2 spells. Like, it's not going to hit a land here.
Yep.
So this is
Unless it hits the Guerrilla Tactics.
Yeah,
it's
right.
It's a
There's-
risk. Calculated risk,
there
but
is
it's a
that.
risk.
So let's see what happens.
Okay, you roll. You take the
One
fade.
here, down, yeah.
If you get the Guerrilla Tactics, no hard feelings.
Yeah,
1.
There's a 1.
Price of progress
Price
for
of
the first
4,
one.
5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he says. You know Sullivan wants to hit this Guerrilla Tactics so bad.
Guerrilla
It is
Tactics.
Guerrilla
Boom.
Tactics.
That's 4. Josh goes down to 10. And now he knows the last 2
Wow.
cards are Flame Rift and Fire Blast
Yeah.
Right.
that are in Sullivan's
You're on
hand.
10.
That was risky.
That was risky, but right now Josh Ravitz is on the verge of death, and it's a lightning bolt.
Yep,
He's going to play Flame Rift. That's going to put him at 6, and if Patrick gets untapped with his hand intact, that's it.
That's game.
Yep, and he's just going to extend the hand as Patrick Sullivan makes pretty short work of Josh Ravitz there. Josh just couldn't get anything going.